Hello and a very warm welcome to everyone on this a very, very special Monday. Monday, March the 20th, 2023, Ostara, also known as the spring equinox. Before I jump right in, let me forewarn you, my camera has this wonky thing that it does every once in a while. If it does it, I just let it work its way out. I do not edit my videos. What you see is what you get. Okay, now that that's out of the way, because if it does it, it usually does it right at the start or right at the end, but we'll see. All right. So Ostara, also known as the spring equinox, this year coincides with tomorrow night's new moon. It's a very powerful new moon, and both the spring equinox and the new moon represent new beginnings. So folks, as much as I make prediction videos and so on, and sometimes those videos can be filled with some doom and gloom, the bottom line is that we create our realities, people. Come on, we really, really do. Believe that in your heart, believe that really, really deeply, and let's begin to make some changes. Let's put the positivity out there. Yeah, I mean, if we're concentrating on the doom and gloom, then we're going to get more doom and gloom. So let's shift things here. Now, having said that, I do have another predictions video that's going to be coming out very soon. There might be some doom and gloom in there, but anyway, it is what it is. It's what's coming up. And part of the reason that's what's coming up is because that's what a lot of people were focusing on over the weekend as the bank collapses became a contagion. So this Monday morning, let's make some changes. All right, you'll notice that I have changed my altar in behind us. I'm super excited for spring this year, the positivity. For the first time in my life, I just want to share this because my whole house right now is filled with the scent of fresh lavender. I absolutely love the scent of lavender, and I've often bought the dried flowers and sprinkled them around. However, for the first time in my life, I live somewhere where I have lavender growing in my garden. It is in full bloom. So I've cut some and I've put it directly behind me there. And yeah, this is what Ostara, or the spring equinox, is all about. So how are you going to celebrate your spring equinox? Like I said, it's about new beginnings. And then tomorrow night, we have a new moon. Again, new beginnings. So let's get going. For those of you who are new here, a very warm welcome. In just a moment, I'm going to ask you to go into a very light meditative state, and I'm going to present 3 rocks. This time it's rocks, no gems or trinkets, just rocks. And I'm going to ask you to intuitively tap in and decide which of the 3 rocks you are most drawn to. I have pre-assigned these 3 rocks to 3 different tarot/oracle card decks, and I'm going to be pulling cards both for the dominant energies for this week for you guys, as well as we're going to look at the shadow energies. Shadow energies are pulled from the bottom of the deck, and it's what's bubbling or brewing just below the surface, things that you need to be aware of. One of my favorite sayings is, forewarned is forearmed. So if we are aware that there's something bubbling or brewing under the surface, when it comes to pass, we have the opportunity to say, I know what that is, and I'm prepared. I can deal with this. All right, let's start. Get yourself into a comfortable position and begin to tap into your breathing. Take a couple of deep breaths in and then out. As you inhale, pay attention to the rising of your chest. If you're breathing deeply enough, even your stomach will rise. And as you exhale, pay attention to your stomach and your chest falling back towards your spine, and let go. And we're going to do this 2 more times. Take a deep breath in. You can have your eyes opened or closed. Pay attention to the rise of your chest. Hold it at the top for just a moment. And then exhale with a whoosh. And relax. One more time. Take a deep breath in. Pay really close attention to how your body reacts to the breath. All the way in. And relax as you exhale. If you've had your eyes closed, please open your eyes, and I'm going to present the first of this week's rocks. A representation, yes, of Ostara and the beginning of spring in the Northern Hemisphere. This is a raw piece of rose quartz. And before you actually make your decisions, make sure that you've seen all 3 of the stones that I will be presenting. Okay. And this represents love and new beginnings. All of our stones represent new beginnings. All right. Our second stone this week is a piece of raw amethyst. It sparkles a lot on the bottom. The top doesn't have quite that shimmer in it. It's got purples and whites, lavenders in it. Again, lavender, representation of spring and Ostara. Okay. And again, new beginnings. This is usually associated with intuition and new beginnings with our intuition. And the third rock that I'm presenting today is actually a piece of lava that cooled with the bubbles still in it. It's very smooth on the bottom. And we've got the bubbles appearing here. And again, this rock is representative. Oh, there goes the gas truck coming down my street. This rock is representative of new beginnings, although this represents new beginnings that are somewhat more dramatic, shall we say. Okay. That truck is going to be very, very loud. All right, so please make your decisions now. Again, deck number 1 is the rose quartz, and it is a raw piece of rose quartz, not polished. Deck number 2 is amethyst. And deck number 3 is the lava. So please make your decisions now. Okay, that gas truck was so loud. I had to just pause and wait until it passed my street. Okay, so hopefully all of you have made your choice. Let me just take a deep breath and tap back in. All right, we're going to start with the rose quartz. And for the rose quartz this week, we're going to be pulling cards from the Osho Zen. And let's just cleanse and clear the deck. Let's get started. Dominant energies this week, influencing those who selected the rose quartz. Dominant energies this week. Uh-oh. All right. Okay. Intensity this week. Those of you who selected the rose quartz this week. Okay. The intensity card is the equivalent to the Page of Wands, also represented by the element of fire. This is a card of action. It is a card of making sure that anything that we are doing, we're doing with intensity. But Normally, the wands or the fire suit would be representative of taking action, typically with regards to work or career. It can represent love sometimes as well. But what I'm actually picking up for you guys this week is that this intensity is referring to emotions this week. This week, for many people, emotions are running high as we are experiencing a huge shift in humanity, in the way that we have done things, particularly our financial systems, for over 150 years, maybe even longer. There's a big shift coming, and this is making a lot of people feel anxious. It's making a lot of people feel uncomfortable. Change is hard for a lot of people. And so it's increasing the anxiety that a lot of people are experiencing right now. And more people are experiencing intensity. So rather than just experiencing love the way that they normally would, they are experiencing it with this over-the-top intensity. Anger, anxiety, the negative emotions as well are being felt and experienced with this intensity. The positive emotions like love and happiness, just in the last couple of days, I've actually witnessed several people experiencing giggle fits. Just insane, out of control giggle fits. And it's this intensity that is, for lack of a better term, intensifying right now, going through this week. Why? Well, I've already mentioned Ostara, spring equinox, new beginnings, right? Planting seeds for where we want to be at when the summer solstice rolls around in June, in another 3 months. Right now, we have a balance. Right? When we experience equinoxes, we have a balance. We have the same number of hours of darkness that we do daylight. We have the balance between the moon and the sun right now. And so we have to remind ourselves of that balance when we are experiencing this type of intensity. This intensity is going to help us, not hinder us. Okay. A lot of people don't like experiencing things when they are intense, but there goes the camera. See, I told you it was going to happen. At least it didn't catch me with my face all screwed up in a ball, which it often does. Okay. So experiencing this kind of intensity is not about experiencing negativity. It's accepting that the only thing that's constant in life is change itself. And the sooner that we realize that change is constant and we accept it, a lot of this intensity is going to subside for us on the emotional side of things. I do sense that for some of you, because your emotions are somewhat heightened right now, there could be the potential for something to come up at work where there may be a slight overreaction on your part. So just watch for that. Let's have a look at your shadow, right? Your shadow is also in the wands category, which is the fire category. It's interesting that you've got 2 of wands coming up. As I said, this was the page of wands. You've got the 2 of wands coming up. This is about possibilities. This is also a card of duality. It is a number 2 down here. And it's the card of being able to see things from a higher perspective. That's what the eagle is representing on here. And see the possibilities. Now, this card came up in the shadow position of this reading. That's an indication that for this week, as you are experiencing these intense emotions, you may be unable to see the possibilities. Okay. What comes to mind is the 2 or the 3-year-old who is experiencing a temper tantrum. In the midst of that temper tantrum, You cannot reason with a 2 or a 3-year-old, or anyone else for that matter, when they are in this intense state of emotion, regardless of the emotion they are experiencing. Again, like I said, a couple of times in recent days, I've seen people having giggle fits. Do you think you can reason with somebody who is in the midst of having this huge giggle fit, and they're laughing so hard they've got tears rolling out of their eyes? Can you reason with that person in order to try and get them to calm down? No, absolutely not. So what I'm saying here, for those of you that had selected the rose quartz this week, emotions, watch for intense emotions this week. And when you are experiencing these intense emotions, don't try to be predicting the future or making big decisions. It's not warranted. Wait until these intense emotions subside. Go into a meditative state. Take a couple of deep breaths. Chill yourself out. Calm yourself down. And once you've had the opportunity to do that, then you will be able to see the possibilities. You'll be able to see things from a higher perspective. All right. Okay, moving along, we are going to get started with those of you who selected the raw amethyst this week. We're going to be pulling cards for you from the fairy deck. Right, so let's clear out the decks. Dominant energy influencing those who selected the amethyst this week. Okay, we've got one card. Is there anything else? Yep, we've got a couple more cards here. These fairies, they love to talk. Okay. The very first card that popped out for you guys is the Queen of Summer. You know, it's interesting that the Queen of Summer has actually come out 4 or 5 times in the past week. That is absolutely fascinating to me because there are 78 cards in this deck. The chances of one specific card coming out 4 or 5 times for the general readings in 1 week is just fascinating to me. So what does the Queen of Summer represent? The Queen of Summer is also known as the Queen of Cups, and she is asking you this week to tap into your heart, listen to your intuitive insights. Wow, I just turned over your other 2 cards. You also have the Queen of Wands here, as well as the Ace of Summer. And if I look at the cards in the order in which they came up, we've got the Queen of Summer coming up first, asking you to tap into your heart, listen to your intuitive insights. She is an emotional, loving queen. Okay. Once you've tapped into your hearts and you have clarity, the next card is the Ace of Summer, also known as the Ace of Cups. This card is a card of new beginnings, and in particular, new beginnings when it comes to your heart and love. This could, for some of you, be the beginning of new romance, new relationship. For those of you who are currently in committed relationships, this card could indicate or signify that there is a change or a shift in a positive way within your relationship. And the other thing that both of these cards indicate is increased intuition and increased intuitive awareness about what's going on around you. And then you've got the Queen of Spring, also known as the Queen of Wands. What does she want you to know? This is a queen of action. It's a queen wherein you need to believe in yourself. Interesting that you've got 2 cards here asking you to tap into your intuition, believe in your intuition, and then you've got this queen coming out saying, believe in yourself. Yes, the Queen of Wands can be a little bit shouty at times. As I mentioned, if you do watch all 3 of these videos, She represents the wands, the suit of wands, and the suit of wands is representative of the element of fire. Element of fire is action. Think about it. If you've got a fire chasing you, or there's a fire under your feet, you're going to be taking action. You're going to be running, you're going to be moving, and you're going to be doing. That's what this queen represents. Okay. So for those of you who selected this amethyst this week, you also have a lot of feminine energy here. You've got two queens. Okay. When you have this much feminine energy, it's encouragement to bring that feminine energy into everything that you do. Now, I'm not talking male or female here. I'm talking about that which exudes feminine energy, including patience, generosity, kindness, and intuition. Okay. So those of you that selected this amethyst this week, patience, kindness, intuition, bring intuition into everything that you do. There is likely going to be a shift in your relationships this week for the better. The Ace of Summer represents positivity in relationships. And you are also being reminded to take action this week. Okay. If something comes across in front of you this week, don't just go, oh, that's meant for somebody else. If you have any inkling that or hint that it may be for you, this queen is saying, jump on it, man. Like, do it. All right. Let's have a look at your shadow energy, which is the bottom card. Okay. The bottom card this week for you is the 10 of Winter, also known as the 10 of Swords. This is what the card looks like. Okay. This card is a card that normally represents the resolution of difficulties and a weight being lifted off your shoulders. Now, given that this card came up in the shadow position, it is letting me know that chances are this week, going through the week, something is going to come up and you're going to go, I just need to let this go. And it's going to be a little bit more difficult than what you initially foresaw it being. Okay. What I'm picking up for you guys intuitively is it has to do with this Queen of Spring, this Queen of Wands. Okay. Something is going to come up this week where you need to take action of some kind. Your intuition is screaming at you. You've got two cards of heightened intuition coming up here, and it's going to be screaming at you. This queen is going to be saying, take action, take action. And you're going to go, maybe not. Like I said from the beginning of this video with regards to shadow cards, it is something that is brewing below the surface. Forewarned is forearmed, which means that knowing that there may be a few little difficulties bubbling and brewing below the surface for you to be able to resolve an issue. When it comes up later this week, you can go, right. All right. I knew I was going to bump into this. This is like a bumping into card. You can say, okay, I knew I was going to bump into this. The Queen of Wands is telling me to take action. I'm going to take this action and get myself out of this situation. Okay. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you'll join me again next week. Happy Ostara, everyone. Let's move into the piece of lava. Those of you that selected this piece of lava, I will be pulling your cards from deck number 3. And this week, the piece of lava has been assigned to the Angels and Ancestors deck. Not surprising, as this is representative of one of the ancestors. All right, let's clear the deck. All right. What is the dominant energy for those? Okay, now I have to pick up 2 cards off the floor. For those who selected the lava this week, we have another one. And another one. Oh my goodness. Okay. This was the first card out. Second card out. And we have 2 more cards here. Oh, no, 3 more. There was 1 more that came out, landed on a different deck. Okay, let's have a look at the cards in the order in which they came up, because that is the best representation. We read them as if they are a story. So your dominant energies this week are the Sun, enjoy success and happiness. Animal Guardian, trust your instincts. High Priest, intent and create. The Hunter, track down your fears and desires. And your general overall outcome, Summer and the Bee. It's interesting that you have 2 cards on the outside, the very first card and the very last card. And both of these cards are representative of spring and summer. You've got the Sun here, representative of summer. Obviously, you've got the Bee, also representative of spring and summer. That's when they become more active. And these 2 cards are both coming out for you on Ostara, or the spring equinox. Fascinating. And both of those cards were on either end of the squishy middle bits. And the squishy middle bits for your reading this week are asking you to trust your instincts, intent and creation, and tracking down your fears. Okay, so what does this mean for us? You have 2 cards here, and you'll notice that both cards, there are headdresses or things above the characters' heads. Both of these, both the wise old owl above her head, as well as the deer antlers on his head, represent a connection to our intuition and represent that connection to our higher selves, where growth happens, where trust your instincts really, really comes in. Your intuition is going to be coming in, and it's going to be coming hard and strong and fast this week, those of you that selected the lava. Okay. When intuition comes into us, there is that chance that we will either dismiss it. What was that? It was so subtle. So we dismiss it. Or it comes in and it shows us something. Either it shows us a fear, in which case we want to dismiss it, or it shows us our desire. And if we are coming from a place of, I'm not deserving of that, then we dismiss it. This is a really, really, really important card, especially in relation to this card where you're being asked to trust your instincts. Both of these cards are telling you your intuition is going to be strong this week. The other card that came up for you is this priest card, the high priest card. And what this card is telling you is that with all of this intuition coming in, you do need to set intentions, and you do need to begin that process of creating. Because all of this intuition and higher guidance that's coming in for you this week will go to waste if you actually don't have any intentions and clear projects and clear direction to take. As I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, today is Ostara, the spring equinox. Fantastic time to be planting seeds. In fact, this is when it's intended in the Northern Hemisphere for you to be planting seeds for your future. Where do you want to be come summer solstice? Where do you want to be come fall equinox? Right now, plant those seeds. That's what this card is telling you. These 2 cards are telling you that if you get into the soft, squishy bits in the middle, and you really dig deep into your intuition, and you really track down and hunt down your fears and your desires, as per this hunter, okay, you need to slay your fears, and you need to nurture your desires. Your desires also go hand in hand with this high priest. then you can have all of this sun and fun and happiness. You can have the sweetness of life that the bee represents. I also want to point out one last thing. The bee also represents community. And when we are in the process of setting huge intentions like this, keep in mind the bee. Sometimes we can't do it all on our own. We need help, and it's okay to ask for help. The honeybee cannot create honey by itself. It needs its whole hive. And then life is sweet. Your shadow this week is autumn. Interesting. Release the old and rest. It's interesting that you've got both summer and autumn coming up on the spring equinox. Release the old. This is coming up in your shadow. What does that mean? Remember at the very beginning of this video, I said the shadow card represents what is bubbling and brewing below the surface. It's that which is going to come forward when you are meant to be doing the work of the dominant energies here. Okay? You're meant to be tapping into your intuition. You're meant to be setting new intentions this week. How can you move forward if you are continuing to hold on to the past? You can't. Okay. So this week, this is your shadow. This does not mean that it is impossible. What this means is that you need to put more effort into letting go of the past. And when you do, just based on these cards that came out for you, absolute beauty. All right. Thank you so much for joining me here this week. Happy Ostara, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thank you.